Hello, TopFanRivalry followers, and welcome to another episode of College K. Yes, it's that time. We're starting to get into tourneys. Dave, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing good. I've been watching baseball for the last, I don't know, 8 or 9 hours. I'm doing great.
Well, what's wrong with that? There's nothing. That sounds like a
Nothing.
perfect day.
Yeah.
That sounds like a perfect day. So, as usual, if you're a fan of College K, as usual, you will know that we go through the top 25 rankings. We'll do some of that. We'll shout out a couple of players, and then we're going to talk about tournament play because that's kind of where we're at now. It's late May, and it's time to talk a little tourney play. So, Dave, I hear that you have some type of connection to the University of Tennessee. I don't know if you know this or not, but they came in first as like the top 25. They're number one. Don't know if you have any connection there still or not, but rumor has
Of course I do. Of course I
it.
do.
Rumor has it. Rumor has it. Kentucky comes in number two. Clemson comes in number three. Texas A&M comes in number four, and Arkansas comes in number five. Any surprises there to you?
None whatsoever. I think we're at the point in the season where the rankings are less and less meaningful, less and less movement. Where they get meaningful is where you've got the cut points at 8 and 16 for hosting regionals and super regionals.
Right.
And for later on where you're going to get the teams that are on the bubble of making the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I don't think if you asked like A&M or Arkansas if they cared if they were fourth or third, they probably don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way it rolls. That's the way it rolls, right? Um, I mean, just you get to the dance. It doesn't matter like what number unless you're 16 and you have to fight through some of the better teams. But
Everybody wants to host, so
yep,
you want to be top 16 and host because it's not like basketball where you're on a neutral court. Everybody wants to have that home crowd in the home field. Um, so 16 gets you a regional and 8 gets you a super. So that's what they're shooting for at this point. But once you're inside those numbers, then to say that Tennessee really doesn't care that they're number one, even though it's really cool. If they were 2 or 3, they wouldn't care. They're getting the respect they deserve, and that's what matters.
yep. So I also thought it was quite interesting. Old Miss comes from not being ranked to being in the top 25 at number 25.
Who's on
And
on right behind me,
exactly, which is on right behind Dave.
and they're winning.
And and then UC Santa Barbara goes from rank 22 to 13. So they pretty much close it out at 13, which I'll bet you good money that neither one of us would have said that they'd be in the top 25 this season, much less
No,
in the
but
13th
good,
slot.
but good for them. That's a hell of a run. And if their RPI holds up, they could be in line to host, which you know, would be fantastic for that area. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, everybody descend on Santa Barbara. That small little quiet town might not be able to know what's coming, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you've been to Santa Barbara before, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Actually stayed in
Gorgeous.
Ojai. Ojai's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, Ohio is amazing as well. Yes. Okay, so do you have players that you want to shout out after this week? I've got some overall statistics that I'll shout out, but do you have players you want to mention this week?
I do. I've got a few here. So I always look for something unusual on the hitting side and the pitching side.
Right.
And because I'm in Phoenix, I've been watching Arizona State a little bit. And Arizona State, if you haven't been following, has had a really nice month and a half here uh, to end the season. Um, and I'm looking at, your top 100 hitters for last week. This is just last week.
Mhm.
And there's four Arizona State hitters in the top 100. This is crazy to have four in there. Um, One guy went 12 for 14. One guy went 8 for 13, 7 for 14, and 7 for 14. Four guys in your lineup. You imagine that?
In
So
Northern
I'm
500.
talking about Ryan Campos, 12 for
Right.
14 with one home run and four RBIs. Jacob Tobias was Pac-12 Player of the Week, 8 for 13 with three home runs, 13 RBIs.
Okay.
Kian View, we talked about before, 7 for 14, two home runs, nine RBIs. And Brandon Compton, 7 for 14, two home runs, six RBIs. Four guys in your lineup. and that's gosh, 32 RBIs
Hmm.
per
Hmm.
week for a
Per
week.
week. I know. That's it. Those are video game numbers. When you're talking about going 12 for 14, that's a video game number.
Yeah, so it's fun to watch those guys if you're not it's the end of the season here, and we'll talk about tournament play in a minute, but Arizona State is coming on at the right time, and they've got some good offensive players to watch.
You and I are not only baseball fans, but we're also hockey fans. And you and I have both seen where our teams can get hot at the right time
Hmm.
and then hoist the cup, right? And so it just sometimes that just happens. And so Arizona State is coming on at the right time.
Yeah, and they're going to be one of those bubble teams that's really hoping to do well in the Pac-12 tournament and turn some heads and maybe sneak into tournament play and get some games there. Unfortunately, they lost to Stanford today by a run. They were down by 8 at one point, and then it doesn't get easier. They get Oregon State, I think, tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's going to be a tough task. The good news is if they beat Oregon State, they're going to open some eyes. So
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And so, but if Oregon State annihilates them, then those eyes will get shut real quick. Is that your
it
Texas and
is
Texas Tech
Texas,
game?
Texas Tech's on now. Yeah.
Nice, nice,
So on the
nice.
pitching side, switching gears, if anyone's listened to this or watched this in the past, they know a few of the guys we've spoken about in the past. So basically, it's like what new, right? Hagen, I'm looking at guys with strikeouts here. Top 100 performances from last week. Hagen Smith, 14 from Arkansas. Chase Burns, Wake Forest, 13. How many times have we talked about those guys?
Yep, yep.
Um, We got a couple of new entries, though. Brian Holiday, Oklahoma State, really good team, went 8.1 innings, 14 strikeouts. Colton
Mhm.
Smith in Georgia went 8 innings, 12 strikeouts. Um, there's to get down to not, single digit strikeouts, there's probably 15 guys here. Last week had double digit strikeouts. So um, Caleb Riedel in Omaha, Jared Spencer, Indiana State, Ian Cook, Connecticut. There's just a ton of guys here that really had good weeks pitching, lots of strikeouts. Good to see.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll talk about Chase and Hayden here shortly on my list too. But yeah, those are 14 strikeouts in a week is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Hagen Smith did 14 strikeouts in 6 innings,
Yeah.
14
18.
out of 14 out of 18.
I was just gonna say 14 out of 18 is
It's
pretty
stupid.
doggone
He
impressive.
he gave up 2 hits, but come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Chase
So I'm
Burns
gonna
did 13 in 7 innings.
yeah, that's those are insane numbers. When you're talking about getting 14 outs on strikeouts over 13 or 14 strikeouts out of 18. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Like jump back, that's pretty hot, right? So great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually do what I usually normally do. So I'm gonna just give you the overalls. So I love the fact that you broke down some of these this week because some of these names are here. So on the batting side, Charlie Condon out of Georgia, he's hitting 451. He's got 93 hits. Josh Breza from Oregon State. You mentioned Oregon State, 429 batting average, 82 hits. And Joshua Kuroda Garver from Rutgers, he's batting 428. He's got 95 hits. 95 hits this season. That's actually not that bad, right?
pretty sure that's good.
Um, and then yeah, pretty sure. So you mentioned Hayden Smith, ERA. Hayden Smith, Arkansas, 1.52. Uh, Evan Ashbrook, Texas A&M, who's behind you, 1.80. Ryan Johnson of Dallas Baptist University, 1.81. Those are great ERAs, and these kids aren't pitching just 2 or 3 innings.
Well,
Um,
and as we've talked about in the past, I mean, this is college baseball.
mhm.
So it's metal bats and smaller fields. And, if you're below a 4 ERA, you're doing really well. If you took that forward to pro ball, people would probably, question that. But this is college baseball. So,
Yep.
you know, a 3.8, a 3.7, a 3.9, you're getting your job done.
100% you're getting your
So
job done.
1.8 is insane.
Right. You're 100%. So then you look at the strikeouts. Interestingly enough, the top three strikeout leaders are all juniors, Dave. No seniors, all juniors, no sophomores. Um, Chase Burns, we've talked about him, Wake Forest, 89.1 innings. You ready for this, Dave? 169 strikeouts.
I was going to say double it.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's pretty close. That's insane. Hayden Smith out of Arkansas, 77 innings, 150 strikeouts. Ryan Johnson out of Dallas Baptist, 94.1 innings, 141 strikeouts. Those are insane numbers. Those are guys that are getting calls from major league scouts right now
Well, and
saying,
the thing too, like you noted, is they're all juniors, but that makes sense because if you're a senior and you didn't get drafted your junior year, you're probably not putting up those numbers. Those guys all left.
right.
So these guys that you mentioned are all draft eligible. They're all going to be names we talk about in July when the draft comes around, and they're probably all going to be very high picks and earn some nice slot bonuses.
Mhm. Well, if I'm any team, and I'm looking at a kid that's thrown 89.1 innings, and gotten 169 strikeouts, I I want to have a conversation. I really, really want to have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously, you know, you're going to get into video and how the, you know, what the pitch metrics are like, and what kind of competition they're facing. But you can be sure that the guys you mentioned are facing really good hitters day in, day out. And if they make a mistake, it's probably going to get hit really hard somewhere.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Well,
there's good confidence in their performance for sure.
Wake Forest is not a bad team, and they're going to face good competition. Arkansas, not a bad team. Dallas Baptist, not a bad team. They're all getting pretty good competition.
Yeah, no doubt. Like that, I guess that's my point. Like, you know, if you're Arkansas and you know what he's facing day in, day out, or if you're Wake Forest, you know what they're facing day in, day out with Duke and North Carolina and Clemson and that conference, then yeah, they're getting it done against the right guys.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, hats off. First of all, as the regular, I'll call it the regular season winds down, hats off to everybody that played this season. If you're playing at that level, you're competing at a higher level. I don't care if you're competing at a JUCO level or D1 level or anything in between. Hats off for making it happen. Hats off to the freshmen for trying to figure out what the nuances are. I know you have a little bit of dealing with that, but these freshmen and I think people forget some of these freshmen are 17 and 18 years old and they're in a new environment. Some of them are a long way from home. Some of them are trying to figure out just how to survive without mom and dad and compete at a high level.
It's a
Congratulations to them.
lot, it's a lot to ask for sure. And yeah, totally. I mean, they're all out there grinding. They're all like the top 1% of the players in their age group. So huge accomplishment just to get where they're at, to get on the field, to get their
Suit up.
first year college done.
Yeah, just to suit up,
And
just
it's
to
only straight up from here for all of them. The experience is going to make them all better.
100%. 100%. Yeah, so I'm very appreciative of these collegiate athletes. They do a lot of fun stuff. I mean, Dave, for those of you not you're just hearing the audio version of this or aren't watching the YouTube side of it, although you would watch the YouTube side of it, you'll notice that Dave is watching Texas A&M, and they're playing at Globe Life.
This
So
is it's Texas Tech. Sorry.
oh, my bad, Texas Tech, but they're playing at Globe Life. So that's an amazing feat for any collegiate kid, right? They're walking around going, man, who's played on this? The World Series was hosted here in 2020, right? Some of the best
Oh,
have ever played here.
yep, for
So
sure.
it's a whole different thing. So yeah, I'm with you. So Dave, what do we need to tell them leading into next week? We got tournament play coming up. What do we need to tell them?
Well, we got conference tournaments going on right now, which is why I've been watching baseball since almost sunrise. Arizona State and Stanford started at 10 a.m. Phoenix time. So it's been going since then. And these conference tournaments are a little bit like March Madness that people are probably familiar with.
Yep.
You can get an automatic bid if you can sweep the conference. And if you're on the bubble, this can either help you or really hurt you. Um, a lot of teams that are really probably highly ranked, they'd love to win this. Winning is a habit, and they don't want to let down. You can't flip a switch, but the real dance starts next week, the 31st.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, just going through what's already gone on, and I know we're recording this on Tuesday night, but we've already seen Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and Louisville lose in the ACC tournament. Actually, Virginia Tech's down to Duke right now. They haven't lost yet, although it's a top of nine. But some of these tournaments are one and done. The SEC, Georgia. What was Georgia's rank last time? Top 10?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they just got beat, and they're out of the SEC tournament as fast as they got in. LSU smoked them 9-1. Um, South Carolina, Alabama. Those are both top 25 teams. Alabama's done, one and done.
Yeah.
And then Vanderbilt, Florida. Florida's out 6-3. They lost to Vanderbilt already. So there's a lot going on here. Teams like Vanderbilt, teams like you know LSU, they need these wins. They
Yeah.
really to add to their resume and get their seating up. So um, there's a lot on the line for them.
Yeah.
So like tomorrow, Ole Miss and Mississippi State still 1-0, but tomorrow we're going to have LSU and Kentucky, I believe. I know we're going to have Vanderbilt against Tennessee, the Battle of Tennessee all over again.
Mhm.
A&M and Arkansas play tomorrow too, and it starts double elimination. So some really good baseball there.
Yeah. The nice part about Tennessee is they can try a few things going into the tournament because even if they are one and done in this tournament, they're still going to be they're number one in the country, so they're still making the big dance.
Yeah, and it's true of all of the ones. Those four got buys, so now they're in double elimination. The first round single, but um, but totally correct. They're going to have to play 5 games in a row to win the SEC tournament. So you got to dig a little deeper on your pitching staff to get 5 games done in 5 days.
Yep.
So in the Pac-12, the last Pac-12 tournament, unfortunately, Arizona State lost. USC beat Utah, kind of a surprise there. Washington and Cal are playing right now. Tomorrow we get Oregon State and Stanford. Arizona plays Washington tomorrow. That'll be a really good game.
That is, yeah.
So lots of good stuff there.
Yeah. Um, yes. Now let me ask you this question. If one specific team decides that they're going to make it to Omaha, are you heading off to Nebraska?
I'm going to try. I might have to buy a tent because there's no hotels anywhere south of Minneapolis. But I like the Big 12 tournament here. Kansas beat Kansas State 2-1. Great game. K-State, I think, I would have bet on K-State on that one. TCU beat West Virginia already. UCF beat up on Cincinnati, and then we're watching Texas Tech and Texas behind us. Texas's last Big 12 tournament before they moved to the SEC.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I actually saw Texas play University of Houston this year, and they're a very good ball club. That the game that I went to, University of Houston dominated, but it was a hit parade. It was I think I told you this. I think there was 4 or 5 home runs in that game.
mhm.
But Texas is, I mean, they're not messing around. They are a good team. So
Well, I think, not only are they trying to go out with a bang in the Big 12, but I think they're trying to prove that they belong in the SEC. And um, they're going to get a big time wake up call when they're going to Fayetteville and when they're going to College Station and stuff like that. So, and Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and they're gonna. I mean, when they go to Knoxville, when they go to
Hmm.
Nashville, I mean, it's a different set of rules over there, right? And so,
Well, it's what's the saying? The SEC, it just means more.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, I'm excited to see the tournament play. I'm excited to see how it plays itself out. Want to see what happens going forward. But again, to all these collegiate athletes, you can't say enough about them, right? I mean, some of these guys are hitting over 400, or they've got ERAs sub 200 or two, like you had mentioned. Sub four is amazing, but when you're talking about 160 or 150 strikeouts, that's are you kidding?
Well, you think about it too, like we said on the teams, this is the right time to get hot. It's the same for the players. I mean, you can have a really average season, a subpar season, maybe something you're not crazy proud of. But if you get hot right now and start hitting the cover off the ball or start pitching lights out and you can really, really turn your season around and make a name for yourself in the next 3 weeks.
Exactly, and that's what people look to do, right? And so, yeah, 100%, 100%. So, yeah, it's and college baseball is just more fun. You made me enjoy it even more. And next year we're gonna have to do a lot more traveling together to different spots. We'll have to get you out here to LA. I'll have to get out to Zona. We'll have to get out to the East Coast, out to Tennessee together a few times.
Well, think about this too. I mean, UCLA,
Hmm.
UCLA did not make the Pac-12 tournament this year in baseball.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
messed up is that? And they've got some really good players. I look for them to make a huge turnaround next year.
Hmm.
Um, don't have any inside knowledge, don't know who they have coming in. All I know is that for the guys they had, their record doesn't reflect their talent. So I look for a big turnaround there.
Well, you and I
And I'll
talked
tell you
about that.
what,
Go
I'll
ahead. Go
tell you
ahead.
what, if Arizona State can get their ERA down and maybe get a couple of donkeys in there to really eat some innings and keep them in games, they can hit. So they're if they can get that ERA down and get some pitching going. Not that their pitching's bad, but maybe get some of their freshmen in there, get some other guys in there.
Mhm.
They're going to be they're going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, no, agreed, agreed. Well, I'm excited to see how it plays out. So we're gonna have to, um, when you're back there, if I'm not with you, we'll have to go live a couple of times. We'll have to
Yep.
kind of get the flavor for it, the feel for it, and then just kind of roll it from there, right?
Yeah. Well, we can do something early when we know what all the once Selection Sunday happens and we know who's going where.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
then we can definitely do a live. I'll be in Knoxville. We know what one team will be. We don't know the other three yet. So
Right. Right. Well, I'm excited for you. When does Tennessee play again?
in the SEC tournament, they play tomorrow.
Play tomorrow. That's right.
Play
That's right.
Wednesday.
What
Wednesday
time?
against Vanderbilt. 2 o'clock Eastern.
2 o'clock Eastern. Okay. I'll have to tune in at about 11 o'clock and see what's going on. I'm sure you'll be glued to your TV.
Oh, I've got TV in my office. So yeah, if anyone comes in for a meeting, it'll be 1/3
At
attention on the meeting and 2/3 attention on the TV.
least you're honest. It's that time of
I
year. At
am.
least you're honest. Yeah. Yeah.
Know what you're
I
walking into.
yeah, I've done that, Dave. I've actually had our TV hooked up in our bullpen area at my office in October to Dodger baseball. And told everybody, listen, if you need something, then and you need a meeting, then it better be out here because I am locked and loaded right here.
Hmm.
So it's just one of those things you got to do, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, Top Fan Rivalry followers, we love doing this. We're going to give you as much college as we can during the different tournaments. And be prepared. Dave and I might go live on Instagram. We might go live right here on YouTube at some point to just talk about this. Uh, we don't have to wait till every week on Tuesday night when we film. We can make things happen. So, Dave, let's have a good time and let's enjoy these tournaments, right?
Yeah, I think we should do something next week to talk about Selection Sunday and who's going where. And then definitely we'll do a live in Knoxville at one of the games.
Sounds good. Look forward to it. Have a good one.
All right, see you guys.